What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Ladies, the Potato Show every Thursday. Unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, I may not be able to do the show come next month. I may not be able to do the Thursday show, so the fellas are going to have to pick it up and pick up the show and continue. And if I have some spare time, I'll be able to jump in and do it. I want to thank all y'all for coming on live. We got some special guests. Y'all already see him. Y'all see him every time. We got ABL. We got Jericho Green. Right Wing Angel is going to join me tonight. I got to get more people on here, man. Black Conservative Perspective. I love his channel, man. His channel is blowing up. I got to get him on here as well. So I'm going to wait till the guests get in. I always send them the link at the last minute. So I really don't expect them to be here until a few minutes afterwards. So here's the opportunity for you guys that like this shirt or like the merch. You can get a discount. It's called United We Stand. One word. You put in United We Stand, you will get 20% off everything on the store, including my book. You'll get 20% off my book, signed and non-signed copy. And I'm only doing it for my YouTube people. If you don't watch me on YouTube, then full price for you. But everybody else get 20% off. Also, while I wait for them, I want to tell you guys about Officer Privacy just a little bit. Some of y'all may not know what Officer Privacy is. I've been advertising Officer Privacy on my YouTube channel because they do an incredible job at removing all your content, or at least removing your information off of these scam sites where they get your information. People can go and search you and pay this little money, and they know where your address is at. They know who your mom and them is. And Officer Privacy will remove you guys from those sites. It's not perfect. Obviously, they can't make you invisible, which won't be good anyway. But because if you applying for a job or something like that, and they can't find you anywhere, it's probably going to be a problem. However, Officer Privacy will get your stuff offline. I'll put some links in the description section. You know, they get my stuff and they monitor it every month. So make sure that nobody's trying to stalk me. But if you don't want to do all that, you can just use their technology and take it off yourself and then monitor it on your own if that's what you want to do. So I'm very proud of them, man. I'll tell you the story real quick, and we got one more guest waiting to come in. I'll tell you the story real quick. The owner of Officer Privacy, I met him at an event. I said, oh, yeah, follow up with me or whatever. So he called me one day, and it was kind of strange because I don't remember giving him my number. But I said, hey, man, what's going on? He said, hey, man, would you thought anything about Officer Privacy yet? And I was like, yes, a little bit, man. What's up? What can you do for me? He said, well, let me tell you your address real quick. And I said, he ain't got my address. He ain't got this address. He read my whole address off, email, everything. He read all my information off. My wife's full name, everything. He read maiden name, everything. I was shocked. I said, can you help me? He said, I got you. This is why I called you. So if y'all want Officer Privacy, I always put the link in the description section. Sign up, man. It's a great guy, former police officer. The people who are helping remove your stuff from the internet are former law enforcement officers. So it's a good little company. All right, we got two people here. I don't know where Right Wing Angel at, and I bet it's my fault because, like I said, I'll be sending them a link at the last minute. ABL in the house. Then we got Green. What's up? What's up? We got a lot of stuff to talk about, man. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Jesus. Green. Did y'all see that shooting that occurred in Grand Rapids that everybody's talking about with the cop on the guy back and he shot him in the back of the head or wherever he shot him and he died? Y'all see that? Y'all see that shooting?
Yeah, I did.
Did y'all see the full shooting, the body-worn camera that the police department put out, the dash cam, the body-worn cam, and the amateur video?
All I saw was just like a thumbnail of what was going on. So I've not really looked into it too deep. I just saw that it happened.
Oh my God. So this is I think it's gonna be bigger than what it is right now. So pretty much what happened, and you see, Sharpton and them gonna get involved, and so it's a fraud. So pretty much what happened is I think the officer will be justified at the end of the day. I mean, the officer put him over on a legitimate traffic stop, asked him, for ID. The guy jumps out of the car instantly, so you already know it's all bullcrap. And then the cop ran his plate, and the plate didn't match the car. He jumps out all weird. Officer tell him, hey man, you have ID. He act like he didn't speak English. And he kept saying, what you put me over for? The officer told him 2 or 3 times. The guy eventually said, yeah, I got an ID. Him and the dude in the car kind of faked like they were going to do it. And eventually he shut the door of the car and tried to walk off. So the cop tried to grab him, and he fought the cop and ran. The cop chased him, took him to the ground. They wrestled on the ground for like 2 or 3 minutes straight. And then the cop pulled out the taser to get him. The guy fighting for the taser for another minute and a half. And then the guy ended up getting the taser, and the cop kind of backed off of him and shot him right in the back of the head or somewhere, and he was gone. They out here protesting and screaming. Jericho, what you think about that, man?
Well, just in time for summer. Certain Black Lives Matter. They're going to get back together. It's a class reunion. You can already see the tweets going out and everything. And I was just wondering where they had been, because not even 2 weeks ago, there was the largest mass shooting in Sacramento City history. So since it was a bunch of, what do they call them? Black and brown bodies laid out all over the concrete, I figured this is a prime opportunity for them to care about the B in BLM, right? Wrong. So this is, it's really unfortunate, because that dude shouldn't have done that. I don't know if there's some kind of cultural disconnect. He was obviously from Africa somewhere. This happened in a predominantly African area, I'm assuming, since the guy filming it was also African. You could tell by his accent when he's speaking. So I don't know what it was, but it's pretty widely known that you don't tussle with a police officer and touch anything on their belt or in their hand. I mean, we used to call that common sense. I don't know how common it is anymore, but you can't be doing that, man. And it would have been a simple, I'm not sure. I'm sure the penalty for having a license plate on the wrong vehicle isn't too bad, but if he's into stealing cars or whatever, you just got to go to jail. I don't know when people got scared to go to jail, but if you do bad stuff, you got to go to jail. So had he gone to jail, he'd still be alive. And it's unfortunate that he put that officer in that position, because contrary to popular belief, these aren't a bunch of Yosemite Sams just rooting, tooting, shooting their guns off, looking for somebody to gun down. They don't want to do that. They're human. They have families they want to go home to. I know they got a bunch of cool stuff on their belt, but they do not want to kill people. So it's too bad he put that officer in that situation. And I'm sure when he left the house today, and his family and whoever, they thought he was coming home. But that was monumentally stupid for him to tussle with that officer. And people can say, you can hear the guy on the tape, oh, he's not doing nothing, let him go, blah, blah, blah. There's too many instances that have happened to other police officers where somebody got a hold of something on their belt and it went bad. They can't say, oh, well, this guy, he seems cool. It's just a license plate. He doesn't seem like the type of guy that's going to pull my service pistol and kill me. He can't take that chance. He can't take that gamble. And you're right, B. Tatum. As soon as he hopped out of the car, you're already messed up. Who hops out of the car? I've been pulled over a lot of times. I have never just unbuckled my seatbelt and hopped out to see what was going on. Never.
You know what they don't tell you is they don't tell you his criminal record, right? My wife looked it up the other day. He got a lot of other criminal stuff going on, at least according to what we read, is that he had been arrested multiple times for being involved in a stolen vehicle, and he pled to a misdemeanor charges in multiple cases. He also been stopped for driving on a expired driver's license, suspended driver's license, DUIs, multiple DUIs. I mean, so this is the telltale signs of behavior, because when a cop, and I did this before, dude, I did this for a living, dude, and I used to run into this all the time. There are signs and symptoms of criminality, right? You say, okay, this car, this community, these dudes, this type of a plate, okay, it's enough to run the plate at least. Let me run the plate. Oh, it don't match the car. Okay. It can be a multitude of things, but let me pull him over and check. The guy gets out the car immediately and shuts the door. You say, oh, something ain't right. And then you ask for ID. He say he got it, but then he never produced it. Then he try to run. Then it just goes up and up. You're like, okay, this guy must be involved in something I have no idea about. Maybe he murdered somebody. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he's a fleeing felon from another state. Like, why is this guy tripping on a traffic stop? So, what are you going to say, ABL?
Well, I got to really see the whole situation. I've not really seen it. I just saw like a thumbnail of it, and I've been hearing about it. But, I mean, one thing I just want to tie in, I'm kind of skipping ahead because I'm going to get to this other topic, but there was somebody that shot up a subway train, and when they arrested him, somehow he didn't get killed or injured at all. So I'm just trying to figure out how that happened. You see what I'm saying? Maybe if you don't resist arrest,
Yeah.
bad things don't happen. Now, as far as was it right, was it wrong? I don't really. I mean, I'll see it and make my judgment. But the obvious thing to say here is, how about don't resist arrest, and maybe you won't have something bad happen to you. That's just the story. It doesn't even matter. Like, even if the cop is wrong, it doesn't matter, because hey, if we've just been chilling, not hopping out the car, acting all weird, just take a little ticket. It might could have been a warning, because I've been pulled over. I'm speeding and I got bad tags, and I know I got bad tags. It's like, hey man, my fault. I'm about to go to work, man. I got bad tags. That's all right, man. Go to work, man. You cool. No ticket, no nothing. It's a straight warning. Just don't be weird. Don't try to resist. Don't try to do no extra stuff, and you be okay. But time and time again, these guys want to do extra stuff, try to fight with the cop, and then they end up dead. Now you got Black Lives Matter and whatnot raising money on their dead body. Now they're a martyr that can get BLM more large mansions.
Yeah.
They can get big long money, big large mansions. That's what's going on. It's a shame.
100,000%, man. I mean, that. A shout out to Oliver Mack. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah, it's a cycle of confusion that I don't understand. Now we know why the woke dudes out there, because they finna get a payout. I don't care if it's justified or not. The family's gonna get paid money, because the city is gonna settle. They're gonna get paid several $1 million, and Crump and all of them are gonna take their little cut and go to the next ambulance. So that's all they do, bro. Nobody's talking about the elephant in the room except us. That, bruh, why are you Negroes still resistant? Why is it always black people doing this? Now, I know white people do it too, but the viral videos that we see and the outcry from police brutality, it's always a brother on there resisting arrest in the stupidest ways. Brother, it's a traffic stop. How you fighting a cop for his taser on a traffic stop? What did you think was going to happen at the end of this? You think he just let you go? You just free to go. Somebody said he was from Congo, and they said he wouldn't have done that in Congo. Yeah, probably killed him. They wouldn't have been no resistance.
Yeah.
Beheaded.
They don't even know what the word rights means over there. He would have got a machete to his back. But somebody in his family, it's unfortunate, but I'm sure somebody in their family, when they saw that he died, they were like, yes, we about to get pissed, because that's what happens. That's part of the package. If they hold up the chart, all right, he's dark enough. Let's get that lawyer over here. Let's get to talking. Let's get Sean King active again. Yeah. And they're going to get paid. And like ABL was saying with the dude they arrested for what happened in New York, let's keep it real. In such a high profile case, as hypersensitive as people are, and everybody's looking for something to happen to a black person when in custody, man, they probably put a pillow down on his seat before they put him in the car. They put white gloves on it. Does this hurt when they push his head? They weren't going to do nothing to that dude. They were going to treat him better, like they were helping their grandma out of church into the car. That's how this dude got treated. Don't act like the cops are going to, and not that the cops would, but who is that stupid to do anything outside of what the law says with somebody like this in such a high profile case, just looking for somebody's career to end because they were too rough with a person of color?
Yeah, Oliver, you got anything to add to that? We were talking about that shooting in Grand Rapids with the police officer on that guy's back.
Oh yeah. I love to talk about that. First off, sorry for my tardiness. I was having technical difficulties with my Apple computer. Yeah, Apple sucks. So
I agree. Amen to that one.
Yeah, but I mean, I was watching the body cam video today, and when I initially heard about it, and when the family was coming out talking about it, I was like, okay, they're from Africa. Maybe this is not a case where it's some idiot doing something stupid and then they end up shot by police. Maybe there could be some kind of, something different about this case, since we got a mother and father there and they're crying because they're saying the son was shot in the back of the head. I'm like, okay, but I want to see the body cam footage. So when the body cam footage came out, immediately the first thing you see is he's outside of the car. And the police officer told him, don't get out of the car. So that's the first thing he did, not complying. And then the police officer tells him, hey, can I see your ID? Guy doesn't get his ID, and he takes off running. The police have to chase him down. It's just ridiculous and sad that we had this protest, all these people talking about this injustice, talking about no justice, no peace, when they didn't even look at the body cam footage. Like, they had no idea what happened. This man could have pointed a gun at a 12-year-old girl, and they're still out there protesting because they don't even wait for the facts or the evidence to come out. They automatically assume if it's a black person that was killed by a white police officer, then the white police officer is always wrong no matter what. And I'm just sick of hearing these cases, man. You know, one day I'm hoping that, you know, when they get out and protest, it's going to be for something that's justified and going to be for something that's reasonable. But we continue to see they just protest for the stupidest things.
They dumb. I mean, they make us all look stupid. Because
Yep.
when I go out in public, I want to say I'm not like them black people. All right, I'm not finna be protesting. People want to see you and be like, "Are you good? Are you good?" I'm waiting for a person to say that to me and be like, "You know, I'm sorry for my privilege." Shut up. Get out of my face. You know.
I've had something close to that. When I used to work at a grocery store, it was Martin Luther King Day. So, you know, her liberal guilt was just weighing extra heavy on her. Like, you ever had your washing machine take a dump and you got to take a wet blanket out of it to see what's wrong with it? You know how heavy that thing is? So that was weighing heavy on her. And she saw me, she was like, this is a way for me to alleviate some of this pressure on me with all this privilege. So I kid you not, I'm doing my job, whatever I'm doing, because that's what I'm there for. I feel this hand on my shoulder. I turn around with a little bit of anger on my face. I don't like nobody touching me. Why are you putting your hands on me?
This is like
I feel this hand on my shoulder. I turn around. It's this lady. She checks all of the white liberal guilt boxes. She works with the at-risk youth. And she's always doing this, right? And I saw her the next day after Trump was elected, and her voice was hoarse from yelling at the TV. She's one of these. So she puts her hand on my shoulder. I turn around and look at her. She says, "Happy Martin Luther King Day." And you could just see, it felt so good to get that off of her chest. But yeah, man, and it's funny. I don't know what is inside of them that makes them feel like they have to get this out. But oh yeah, your experience is coming, B. Tatum. It's coming.
Oh, bro, I'm gonna embarrass them too. I'm gonna go hard too. I'm gonna scream racism and all kind of stuff. How dare you? You know. But let's get to this other fool, because to me, I think the world can see this. It's not just a Republican conservative talking point. They treat black terrorists very different than white terrorists. The other guy may have been a gang-related situation, but they still shot multiple people.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy went on the train with the intent to, I would assume, to kill as many people as he could. He had 3 magazines full of extended magazines. I'm assuming they're like 30-round mags and a handgun. And he fired it, and the only reason he stopped because his gun jammed. I mean, this dude had intentions, ill will online. He was on terrorist watch list. I mean, this is concerning to me, no matter what color he is. But the media is just calling this guy, his stuff online, they call it rants. No, these are racist threats and all kinds of other stuff. What do y'all think about that? Am I tripping? Or are they treating these black mass shooters very differently than white mass shooters?
They don't want to cover them, really, because the only reason why they got covered in New York City is because it happened right there on the train, right there in Brooklyn, rush hour, multiple victims right there on the, so you can't hide it. You know, that's you're not going to be able to hide it. If it makes local news out there in New York City, it's like being on ABC at prime time, like 8 o'clock in the evening. So you got to cover it. However, there was another mass shooting somewhere else. Okay, there was a mass shooting in Arkansas. I don't know if you guys saw that. There was a car show. One person was killed, but 28 were shot.
God dang.
28 people, including kids, little kids, like little, Goo Gaga, little 28 people. Now, I talked about that on my stream last night, And I asked the question. I was like, hey, have you guys heard about this? Just talking to the audience. Have you guys heard about this? Nope. And it happened back in March, like March 22nd. Here we are almost a month later. Nobody really heard about it. Okay. But you heard about Kyle Rittenhouse, didn't you? And that was just one guy. And what was it, like 2 people that died, maybe 3 people that got shot in total? You heard about that. But what about the 28 that were shot at a car show in Arkansas? You didn't hear about it at all.
Never heard.
Yeah, you didn't hear about it. And then this guy in New York City, the only reason he got covered because it's right there in New York. You can't just, that's like somebody getting shot right there on the steps of the Capitol and you not cover it. Everybody saw it. You can't hide it, but you can hide it in Arkansas, middle of America, flyover state. Anybody gonna care about that? There it is right there.
I wonder some people of color.
Of course, you already know what it is.
You haven't heard of
it? Oh yeah, of course.
That's why we haven't heard of it.
Yeah, I think I covered that story.
So the question is, what is really going on, right? BLM should be outraged that a mass shooting occurred and they didn't get zero coverage.
Well, what between white mass shooters and black mass shooters, one is a help and one is a hindrance. One is going to help them push their message, and one is going to go against it and be in direct contrast to their message. So they can't let the truth out that we're on pace with these people. And until and if it was flipped the other way, if it helped them to cover white mass shooters the way they should cover everybody, then they would. But to have us be held accountable for the same things that white people are would put us equal to white people. And they say they want that, but they really don't, because equality is not all good. It's not all the fun stuff. Equality comes with paying the piper. If you do something wrong, you got to pay just like everybody else. You got to take the slings and arrows online or on the news just like everybody else. And with personal responsibility, that takes you out of the victimhood. And without a victim, they have nothing. So they cannot allow that kind of stuff to get out. Could you imagine how much they would be salivating if that was a white dude who went to a black car show and shot up? You talk about the kids they're not talking about, man, they'd have a camera in every baby's face. Baby so-and-so, hashtag baby so-and-so would be everywhere. And this dude, he'd have this jacket over his head when he's coming out of the jailhouse to go somewhere else and everything, as they should. But giving us personal responsibility, you can't give us personal responsibility and take care of us too, like the small children they treat us like. They'll never do it. It doesn't matter. It wouldn't matter if there were 100 people shot at that car show. If the colors don't line up, you're not going to hear about it.
I think it's interesting that they arrested him for terrorism, but they didn't arrest him in relation. At least I didn't hear them have a charge of a hate crime. You know, and what I heard was that they arrested him for terrorism. And correct me if some of y'all have better information. It was because he did it on a transit system. That's the reason why I was terrorist. It wasn't because of any of his racist motives that we can clearly see he may have had. I mean, he targeted people, and it seems like he had a demented hatred towards white people and women. And they and I don't think they trying to say this. When they wouldn't call him a black supremacist, they call Rittenhouse a white supremacist.
With no proof.
I mean, why not? Why can't they be fair? It's just weird to me.
Yeah, and it's already disappeared. You look on all the top news outlets, it's already gone. I found it on one website underneath a story about Trump. It's already buried.
It's crazy,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, think about this. They're not even interviewing the victims. They're not talking about the victims. Nobody knows who the victims are or who got shot. I bet you if this was a white person that shot in the transit station and the victims were black, of course we would hear from each and every one of those victims. It would be all on the front page. These people would be speaking out. There'll be overnight celebrities. But since this is a black person that did things, and I don't know if they were white people, I'm guessing that they were white people because they're trying to cover this and trying to hide the fact that what's going on with this situation. They don't want you to know all the facts. They don't want you to know all the information because it completely dispels their narrative. If this was a white person talking about, you know, white supremacy and what did he say about black people need to have their own country, black people need to separate from white people, right? So if this was a white person talking like this against black people, then it would be all over the news. This would be their motive. They would already know this is the reason why he did it. But for some reason, we don't know why he did it. We're not hearing from him. We're not hearing from the victims because they want to bury the story.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's weird that they are not saying much about this. And you got to think this is a overarching problem. They've been having these violent. I think Jericho gone. They've been having these violent interactions with people on this transit system to the point at which Eric Adams had to employ to get the homeless out of there more police officers to be there. Yeah. And while police officers on the bay, somebody pushed another person to their death on the tracks.
Yep.
So it's like, this is a bigger issue. Like people in New York, I'm sure they're terrified because they don't know if there's going to be a copycat. I mean, they're terrified.
Yeah, I don't know how anybody who's of sound mind continues to live in New York. I'm sorry if you live in New York and you're watching this live. There is too much going on in New York right now. The crime is out of control. Murders are out of control. You are not safe. You can't even travel to school. You can't travel to work. There was a situation that happened, I believe, last week, or actually this week, where this 15 or 16-year-old girl was walking home from school with her friends, and she got shot and killed by a 17-year-old boy who was across the street.
Yeah.
And, this fool, he's calling people from Florida. He wants more people to come live in this hellscape known as New York City. And
talking about Eric Adams.
Yeah, he's trying to tell all the LGBT, come on up here and get shot too. Come get some of this lead too.
Anybody going
equality for everybody.
Yeah, and anybody going, they're going the wrong way. People are leaving New York and going to Florida. Anybody going back? It's like, look, if I escaped the penitentiary, I'm not going to volunteer to go back. I'm free now.
Yep.
You know what? Something I've heard people talking about. Well, they should have done more, and there were all these signs. Now, if he made his way onto FBI watch list, then they should have been watching him. It's in the title, the watch list. But to go after everybody who has questionable beliefs, it's a fine line, because there are people out there who are not going to commit violence, who believe some crazy, dumb stuff, racist stuff, mean stuff, whatever you want to call it. And they may have a bunch of guns and ammunition, but that doesn't mean that they're going to do something bad. And I don't want them to blur the lines and start going after everybody who says something that's not mainstream. That First Amendment cuts both ways. It's there to protect that kind of language, that kind of crazy, outlandish, incendiary kind of language. But that doesn't mean people have to act on it. But I don't think they should be kicking in the doors of everybody who says questionable things and happens to have a bunch of guns. They always do that, though. If they catch somebody, he had 20 guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition. My question is, where did you get it? Because I would love to have a bunch of ammunition. I want a bunch of guns. That doesn't mean you're a bad person, but they are going to use this to go after what they need to go after first, our guns. To overtake a population, you cannot have them armed. You have to be the only ones in the room with firearms. And that's what Biden's already talking about, ghost guns. How many of these crimes are committed by ghost guns? Yes, they exist. People use them, whatever it is. But tell me how many of these killings and these mass killings are being done with ghost guns. And like I said, they've already buried the story. Like Oliver Mack was saying, we know nothing about these people. If the colors lined up, they'd have a mic. They'd be crying, "Oh my goodness!" They would be interviewing people who were a block away. Oh, I heard something, I smelled something, and they would be sticking a mic in their face. But it does not fit their narrative. No matter how bad it is, they're not going to cover it. Especially with that fool in the White House, they can't chance any of their power being taken away. So they got to stay away from stories like this at New Yorkers' detriment. They're the ones who are going to be on the front lines of more of these things happening. It's sad.
Yeah, just think about it. This whole scenario, like what he did, kind of plays out like a Batman movie. He throws a smoke bomb. He has a vest on. He has a gas mask, and then he starts shooting people indiscriminately. So, if I was the media, I would be all over this story. Like, wow, we got to cover this. Wow, we got to see what happened. Wow, we got to talk to the victims. But it just lets you know how biased they are. Their bias is just palpable today, and I'm shocked and surprised that more people aren't seeing this. More people that weren't on our side, that thought we were crazy for saying that the media was fake news. They said Trump was crazy for saying that the media was fake news. I'm shocked and amazed that more people aren't seeing their complicit bias against things like this.
Oh,
Yeah, and the laws I looked up the laws in New York State, New York City, bro. This the craziest laws I ever seen in my life to get a gun. You got to jump through so many hoops to get a gun, man. You got to have You got to have photos of yourself. You have to have your original
like selfies or something,
huh?
Like selfies or something. Like
I think you got to have like some random photos because on the thing it doesn't say or.
You gotta be
photographs, your original social security card. You have to have ID, a driver's license or an ID. Yep. You have to have proof of residence, and that's just to be eligible to get a permit that costs $400. Mm-hmm. And then you can't just get a regular permit. You have to get a permit based on what you're going to use the gun for. So they got permits that you can only have the gun at your place of business. You have to get a separate permit to get it to where you can drive it from your home to your business. I mean, it's out of control. And that's not it. They take you through an interview. You have to be interviewed. But they sit you down and ask you what your intentions are with the gun. And a background investigation. And you can't open carry anywhere. And in the city of New York, you can't buy AR. I'm like, it tells you that it doesn't work.
Guess who's
all day in New York?
And the thing is, they're talking about Brian Kemp because Brian Kemp passed the law that says you can conceal carry without a permit. And they're talking about how that's going to be very dangerous. People are going to be shooting and killing. But last I checked, the criminals don't care about laws because the guy in New York concealed carry his pistol. I don't think that was necessarily legal in New York City. I don't believe it was, but he was able to do it. He had extended magazines, and last I checked, it's not legal to shoot people, but it's what he did. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, only thing that the laws do is affect law-abiding citizens. It don't affect the criminals who go out there and shoot and kill all the time. And then also, the reason why the media don't want to cover this is because it's the wrong gun used. You had a regular handgun. See, the media want to talk about white guy with an AR-15, AK-47, big rifle. They want to talk about that. Oh, these are military-powered weapons. Mm-hmm. But the handgun, like a Glock 17, that's like a regular gun. You can't talk about that. Yep. It's too many things. Black guy, old black guy, that's 62 years old, and a handgun. Nah, let's talk about Ukraine some more.
Are you sure it wasn't a ghost gun, huh?
No ghost gun. That's from a pawn shop. No ghost gun. Ain't nothing there.
He registered. You know what? It was in his name. Where'd he buy the gun from? Another state, didn't he?
In Ohio.
Yeah. So
you know what?
Stopping them and bringing it in there and shooting people.
And you know who's not sitting through these interviews? You know who's not filling out the paperwork for these permits? The criminals. Yeah. No one's in there like, oh, I see you're a blood, is it? Yeah, I just want to get this gun, to kill some rivals. They're not doing that crap. They're just hamstringing us. No, these fools aren't going out the house like, oh, shoot, I can't do it, guys. I can't go. I don't have a permit. It's ridiculous. And for them, I would think that, especially being the president, but was it Sheila Jackson Lee and these congressmen and women, these senators, I would think you have access to things regular, normal people don't. Like if you're a congresswoman, you can call up whoever's gun training and, hey, I want to come out and I want to have these guns lined up for me and I want to try them. I want to shoot them. I want to know what I'm talking about. You get this, and this. These are the hot guns in the news right now. Give me an AR and whatever. So I can go out there and learn what I'm talking about. Yeah. But these dummies say stuff like, I think you did a video on this when she said an AR weighs 10 pounds. Yeah. And it shoots a 50 caliber bullet. That's something my son would say. He's 6. He's not a congressman. But she said that. Those words came out of her mouth. And to say things like it's a military grade weapon, I guarantee you the United States military is not sending our brave men and women out there with AR-15s. That is just dumb. But how many people out there equally as dumb are listening to them and not studying it? An AR weighs 10 pounds, a military grade weapon? What are you talking about?
Yeah, she said 50 cat 50. They shoot 50. Now there's modified, AR-15s that can. Generally, she just don't know what she's talking about. She said it's as heavy as 10 boxes that I'm holding. 10 boxes.
Like how heavy is a box? Is that a unit of measurement? It's like, hey, you know what? I got 15 boxes on my
Yeah.
bench press.
Yeah.
That's my max, 15 boxes.
Yeah.
Girl, I gotta lose 10 boxes before the summer.
Yeah. Shit, over here working out so I can shed these boxes. Like, girl, but they just dumb because I don't even know if they even know what gun people use. I think she thinking of like a big belt-fed machine gun.
Yeah.
Now, if she was saying that, then I can say, okay, well, maybe you know what you're talking about. I'm pretty sure that gun is pretty heavy and it's shooting 50 cal bullets, you know, depending on what machine gun you use. But it's like you got to be smoking crack to be so much of an advocate and not know what you're talking about. And you are going to write legislation or vote on legislation, and you have never carried a gun before. And you know the myth of, like, we are here in Arizona, man. We're a constitutional carry state. You don't need a permit. You don't need none of that stuff. I carry my gun everywhere I go. I don't need none of that stuff. And you rarely see shootings like that out here. Why? Because somebody gonna pop you in the parking lot if you get too jiggy out there. You know what I'm saying? I was just thinking, my wife. We had an Amber Alert, or not an Amber Alert, but it was a alert of a fugitive. It was like, this is his description or whatever. He's armed and dangerous. And I'm like,
me too.
good luck.
You know,
I run these scenarios through my mind because my wife was at the park with the baby and the nanny. They were there at the park, and I ran through my mind. I was like, if my wife called me and be like, help us, the guy here shooting people. I think I'm gonna light up like a Christmas tree, dude. I'm gonna be like, oh yeah. I've been waiting to get one of y'all fools.
Yeah, like, oh, you
show up and put them down before the cops get there. It's done, y'all. The paperwork. I know exactly what question y'all gonna ask me. I know exactly what you need to do. I might start calling people. You need to call OME. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get the investigation started for y'all because we ain't finna put up with that out here. And that's the way the country should be, in my opinion. And we don't have to rely heavily on police.
But soft targets. They only go after the soft targets. Israel, they had a school shooting back in the 70s. They put armed guards at all the schools. Find me the last school shooting in Israel. Yeah, it's not going to happen. It goes against your self-preservation. You're not going to run up in somewhere wanting to shoot people when, no BS, 7 out of the 10 people are strapped. You can't keep your eyes on all of them. They're not all going to lay down. So you're going to miss somebody's in your blind spot. It's a wrap. You ain't even going to try it because it's too dangerous.
Y'all remember that dude that came? Y'all remember that dude came into church in Texas?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He shotgun out. He popped one dude and took one to the head from 50 feet away.
Marksman.
Pow.
Hit him.
It was dome shot. Didn't even know where it came from. And homeboy, old man, in the back went.
It was over with.
He went. Pow.
Muscle memory.
Yep.
Control Alt Delete. He was gone. Awesome. He was gone.
Yep. But the soft targets, these trains full of people who aren't armed. Sounds good to a predator.
That's why he went there. You know, it'll rarely be a shooting like that in hood, right? You're gonna do a mass shooting in the hood. If you're not a gang member, you think you're gonna go to the hood and make an example out of black people? Yeah, right, dude. You know, these thuggers will be out there doing drive-bys on you. But I don't know what the solution is, right? Because I know people who are afraid to carry a gun and they have this whole sentiment that, we need less guns. So I have what I think we should do. I think the solution to the problem is more guns. We need more people owning guns, more people equipped to defend themselves, and more training and have people ready to go. You know, that's what I think.
I mean, back in the day, you'd be in school and they would have rifle clubs in school.
Yeah.
Like, you could bring a gun to school, to high school, and there wasn't no mass shootings going on then because it's a different environment. People were trained with guns. It was a different culture surrounding the whole situation, but you can't do that anymore. But there should still be that education from an early age, so there's less accidents and people feel more safe being able to protect themselves. It should go hand in hand with like home economics. Have a gun class, homemade shop, have all those be like life skills.
And a police class.
Shoot for free.
And a police class. You have a class where you talk about law enforcement. What does these people do? You know, what do they do? What does this mean? What does this mean? What are your rights? Like police are so heavily involved in society. You know, most people don't have contact with them, to be honest, based on the numbers. But inevitably, at some point, you may have contact with a police officer. You may need a police officer. You may be calling. You may get pulled over on a traffic stop. You may just see one of them. you should, or you may be inspired to be one of them. You should know what's going on. It's
They
not
should-
that hard, man. You know, anyway.
They
Yeah.
should incentivize it, just like they incentivize the destruction of the Black family. They need to incentivize people to protect themselves. Ladies shoot for free. You get 100 rounds on your birthday, or maybe you get a tax credit for every gun training course you take. Something like that to get people excited about protecting themselves and to get rid of that fear. When I went to the front sight training last November, there were some women in there who had never held a gun. They bought a gun to go to this class. They were scared. They were loud. They didn't know anything about them. By the time they were done with that course, 2 of those ladies were in the hunt for the top spot because there's a competition on the last day. But just that repetition, just doing it, gets rid of that fear. And then you start to like them. And you shoot a gun. I've seen many videos with people who are anti-gun until they shoot one. But to know that you have the ability to protect yourself and what is important to you, it's a great feeling. And it doesn't take a lot of training to get rid of that fear. And this Tuesday, I'm going on a ride along with the local police department here for the graveyard shift. So I'll have some videos coming up about that one, because I went to a neighbor of mine's a cop. He invited me over, had some buddies over, and they told me a story that I can't tell here. And he was like, "Man, you got to do a ride along." So I'm doing that on Tuesday. I'm excited and a little bit scared.
Hey, I tell you, man, don't drink a lot of water, man, because you don't pee yourself on it. No, I'm just playing. But no, I mean, I used to give ride-alongs all the time. It was like, and I used to try to scare the mess out of people too. I ain't gonna even lie. I was hoping, because let me tell you this: when they know you got a ride-along, the dispatcher will send you to the fun stuff.
Oh, great!
They'll send you a message on the computer like, "Hey, we got a person that's been dead for 3 weeks.
Oh man,
do you want to go to this one?"
No.
And then I'll be like,
when that smell hits you, oh boy,
Send
you
send
ain't
it.
gonna forget that.
Bro, my ride-alongs
I've-
been saw some stuff, man. My ride-along saw some stuff.
I've been around a dead body before.
Yeah, but the last ride-along that we did, I did it with I took a young lady on the ride-along. She was an immigration lawyer, and there was a kid that was drunk driving. It was sad because the one who actually lost his life was a innocent person who was just walking down the street on his birthday. The kid was walking down the street. This guy said, "Hey, you need a ride?" All right, cool. Jump in the car. The guy goes 80 miles per hour, hit a light pole. And the kid that was the passenger was in the trunk with the seat. They were both in the trunk. I mean, it was all broke up. It was gnarly. And so I had her walk up and I said, "Hey, you want to see this or not?" You know what I'm saying? They lift the sheet up, boy, and bones were sticking out places.
Man.
Oh no! I'm hitting the floor. I'm out.
And then there was a shooting that occurred too. So we went to the shooting after that. And so it was like, I think she gained a little bit more respect for law enforcement after being exposed to such dangerous stuff and me driving code 3. So that's what's going to shock you, Jericho. I think if you've never done a ride along, is how fast they drive when they're going lights and sirens and how crazy it feel. But they're trained to drive and the cars are equipped to hit corners at 40 miles per hour and stuff like that. But it's gonna be fun, dude. I mean, unless you get the ride along curse, which is that sometimes when the ride alongs go along, it's dead. It's like nothing going on.
Right.
So you gotta do it more than once if you don't get no action. But
yeah, I'm excited. That's what I want. I want perspective. I want to know, because I'm pro law enforcement. Anybody who follows me knows that. But I really want to see what these dudes are dealing with, because it can't help but to help you, to let you see what these people deal with. And I'm, like I said, I'm very excited. I'm a little scared from what I'm going to see, because I got a scar under here to prove that I don't do well with other people's blood. But that's another story for another time. But when I was in the Navy, we pulled a body out of the water that had been in there for 10 days. So I'll never forget that aroma.
Yeah, it's bad. It's stinky. And then you put it on top of the person living in a bad house, where there's trash everywhere and they have animals. Sometimes the animals, they get hungry. So don't die, and you still have your cats around, because they'll start eating you. You know what I'm saying? So seeing it where a guy, the cat ate his face, that was pretty gnarly too. So, but like cops see this stuff on a day-to-day basis, bro. You know how bad that was? Like, it was gnarly. Or the guy that I had, he was there for like a week or 2 or whatever, and he was green. His body, he was green. He was bloated. It was nothing but urine and blood mixed on the floor that covered the entire floor in the living room.
Sir.
And he must have had a heart attack stepping over the table. So because he fell into the couch, his face was in the couch and his leg was still on the table back there. Big old blister on his back, like a size of a basketball. And I remember they had to pull him up, and and when they pulled him off, his face was still stuck to the couch. So his face came off, and it was gnarly. But I mean,
somebody's eating right now.
Just so people understand, like, we see this stuff all the time. Like, at least something that gnarly, you probably see it maybe some people may see it once a career, depending on what department you work for. But you're talking about people being beheaded. I mean, not beheaded from a killer, but like people being decapitated from traffic accidents, people dying in the hospital, kids getting abused, people getting stabbed to death, having to patch wounds from people getting shot. You know, it's every day, especially LA County. If you work in the hood, it's every day. I mean, just think about this. You know, we see these numbers in Chicago, and it says this weekend 82 shootings and, you know, like 14 homicides.
They get people got to tend to those. Yeah. Like they got to
show up.
They got to show up. People got to work on them. Yeah,
that's they're gnarly, man. Especially
that's another thing
who got lit up. They gnarly.
That's another thing. They say these cops are racist, but when they have to shoot somebody, when they have to shoot an unarmed black man, why are they always pumping on their chest? Right. Why are they always trying to save them? Remember the idiot during what they call it, the autonomous zone they had up in Washington. Remember that fool? He kicked a Molotov cocktail and his feet caught on fire. Who was over there putting his gun behind out?
Yeah. Patting them down. You know, and then also the black people patrolling the community. It's like, hey, let's think about this. I mean, the white people patrolling the black community. Think about this. They so racist. You know what I'm saying? It is the thing that I keep saying I'm a cop, but for people that don't know who I am, I did this for a living, man. To be a racist dude is almost impossible. I mean, you got to go against your racial tendencies all day long. Because if you work in the inner city, when that kid is reportedly have been raped, you have to go and deal with that. When somebody's been shot in the head, Lil Johnny in a drive-by shooting, or one of these rappers get killed by their own brothers. I think you posted Oliver.
Yep.
You got to go to that. Yeah, and you got to investigate. And you got to make arrests. And you have to listen to grandma cry, or you got to do death notifications. Like, if you racist and you work in an all-black community, it should, I mean, how can you work? Because all you do is deal with black people at their worst moments. So it's bull crap to me. I never ran into a cop I thought was racist. I ran into cops I thought was racially insensitive, meaning they never been around black people before. So when black people start yelling and cussing and getting loud, they get spooked. You know, hey, calm down. You know, and it's like, you know, black people kind of get animated. You know, they don't mean they really that mad. You know what I'm saying? So
that's a different culture.
It's a different culture, just like the Hispanic culture. They teach us in the academy the machismo culture, like when you go to a person who's of Hispanic descent, you got to make sure you respect their household. And a lot of men don't want you coming talking to their wives. Yeah. So they try to tell us that when you go to a call and it's a Hispanic family, be mindful that you may need to address the husband first and before you go straight to the wife. And is that true in all cases? Maybe, maybe not.
Back up on. Yeah. My wife's back up right here, man.
Dude, I had a dude fight me right before I left. I mean, it wasn't a fight. It was 2 hits. I hit him, he hit the ground. But this fool just got out of prison. His wife is a victim of her niece came in knocked every window out of her car with a brick, just knocked them all out. It looked like hail damage, dude. She just beat her whole car in. And she was the victim. She's coming to me, talking to me. He's down the street drunk. And I'm just trying to get the information. He come up. And I see him, bro. He coming from a mile away. Hey. And I'm just like, she like, stop. And then he ran up on me and that was it. But that was like, he was offended that I was talking to his girlfriend. Mm-hmm. It was out of control, dude. I'm the cops. You know what I mean? But anyway.
Yeah, I'm trying to hit on your girl.
Right. She was nasty, you know.
Hey, mommy,
built like a muffin, you know, like SpongeBob.
She was a 5x5, 5 feet high, 5 feet wide.
Everybody wants SpongeBob, man.
She was built like one dice.
Get your woman out of here, man. Anybody want her? She look like she
man.
gonna tip over in a minute.
Man, yeah. You'll come get this.
Nothing but
Yeah,
sopapillas in there, boy. By the way, I love sopapillas, by the way. But you know, come on, man. Ain't nobody trying to mess with your little nasty wife. But anyway, but you know, people get crazy. But racial insensitivity is a thing, you know, but it's not racism, man. Nobody cares about that.
You know what, B. Tatum? I kind of got a story like that too. When I worked at the radio station, people would come to the side door to pick up their prizes. You know, we're giving away tickets or something like that, so they want to come get them right away. So this dude comes up and he's like, "Hey," "Hey, come meet my wife, eh?" Because he had listened to me on the air and stuff. He was a fan of my show. So I meet his wife, and you know, I'm sure she didn't have too many beauty pageant trophies in her living room. That's what I'm trying to say. But he goes, like, we're talking to him, I give him their tickets and stuff. And I was like, I told his girl, I said, "Hey, nice meeting you." He's like, "Hey, back up, eh?" I'm like, "Bruh, this girl looks like a 32-gallon bag of mayo. I'm not trying to holler at your girl. You kidding me?" Something like that. But anyway, yeah.
Oh my God.
What happened?
But it's funny. It's funny, but those are things that you learn. But when you do a ride along, you'll be able to see and eventually do one in the daytime, because the experiment is, I had a BLM woman. Both our kids went to this daycare thing. I think she was really trying to hit on me, but she was black. I'm black. I take my kid and I should wear my uniform because I had to drop him off and run right to work. So she see me in there one day and she's confused. I'm a cop. You know, this is, you know, it's still a bunch of the anti-police stuff going on. And so she wanted to do a ride along, or she was talking something about a police shooting. And I said, "Come do a ride along. And so you can see what we do." Bro, she was too scared to get out of the car on a traffic stop. I mean, we in broad daylight. She didn't want to get out of the car. I'm not getting. I'm like, "Why you ride with me? You ain't even participating in nothing." And then one of the things I had her do, which I wish anybody, you didn't have to be in the cop car to do this. During the daytime, I would drive up behind somebody and say, "What race is that person? What race is that person?" You can't tell.
Right.
You really cannot tell, bro, unless you get a glimpse of the rearview mirror and they don't have tint and you kind of see it that way. But generally speaking, when you drive in this way, you can't see people's race, and it's irrelevant because anybody can do you in. You know, you're just trying to make sure that you're safe. You know, you don't care about nobody's race. Ain't no cop in the world is walking up and saying, "Oh, he's white." Totally cool.
We're good.
We're good. He will never hurt me.
Like, "Hey, you want to hold my gun? Here, hold my gun."
Yeah. Would you like for me to put my gun away while we do this traffic stop? Like, no, nobody's thinking of that. You know, you thinking the worst than they trying you to think the worst in everybody, man. You see the worst in everybody.
I'm sorry, the police department that I'm going with, some of the new rules now, they have to do this. They have to do reports on this when they get back to the PD. They have to talk, if they pull somebody over, and this is only for traffic stops so far, they have to tell what race they perceive them as before they approach them, what gender they perceive them as before they interacted with them. And so after that, they have to go back. And this is all, I mean, you would know better than me, B. Taylor, how many traffic stops you would do in a week, in a day. So for all of these traffic stops, there's a questionnaire that they have to fill out about the race and the gender and how they perceive them. And what were your feelings approaching the vehicle when you saw this person? And as we all know, it's a colossal waste of time. They could be out California helping people.
Yeah, dude, I'll tell you this. You know what's going to happen? It's going to be less traffic stops because nobody's going to want to do that. And then they're not going to tell the truth. Even if you're a racist, you're going to say, "Yeah, I thought he was black and I hated him." You know, you're not going to say that. You're going to lie. And I bet a lot of cops just play with him just to mess up the stats. I thought he was white to a black person. And say, "I felt totally comfortable after I saw him on a traffic stop." Black, you know, it's like you're not going to get data that way because it's bull crap. And the cops know it's bull crap. And they're not going to pull over the drunk drivers. They're going to miss them because they're like, "I'm not going to go through all that just to pull you over." I mean, maybe it's only applicable to the traffic units, because people have to understand there's different units. Like Highway Patrol do traffic. They don't do calls for service. They do traffic. You even on a PD, if you're a municipal police officer, you mostly can answer calls for service. You really don't do traffic. Now they have a unit that's a traffic unit within the police department, and all they do is traffic in municipal patrol. So it's not a lot of them. So, you know, they're just looking for DUIs and stuff like that. But the average beat cop they don't want to pull you over. They getting ready to go to a call. You know what I'm saying? That's why a lot more people don't get pulled over, because cops are really headed to calls. I mean, I be behind people and they going slow, and I'm like, bruh, I got to get to this call. I'm not worrying about you. Unless you blow a light and hit somebody in front of me, get out of my way. I got stuff to do, you know? Anyway.
Yeah, I think I'm sorry, go ahead, Oliver.
No, I was just about to say, you know, in my younger days, I used to speed a lot. Like, I never drove the speed limit. I would always be speeding, probably going like 10, 20 miles over the speed limit. And I would travel back and forth from New Orleans to Baton Rouge, which was like an hour and a half away. So I probably got pulled over like 20 times within probably a 2-year span. Yeah, I was about that life, I guess. But not once did I ever fear for my life. And not once was did I perceive a police officer as being racist or not being kind. I mean, I had a lot of police officers that let me go with a warning. Like, you know, there was no talk of this, you know, police officers hate black people stuff back in the day. And it was like, since there was no talk of this, there was no fear. And I know, talking to my friends and my family back then, nobody was talking about police officers being racist or people being afraid for their lives when they got pulled over. Nobody said anything about that because the media wasn't pushing it. So you understand that this only comes from this media narrative. The media wants to drive this point home to have black people living in fear. And that's just not true. And police officers, I know for a fact, because I got pulled over so many times, police officers are not trying to do anything to anybody. They're not trying to hurt anybody. They're not trying to shoot anybody. Like, it's crazy for people to believe that today.
Yeah. And you know, like you were saying, B. Tatum, with the officers, you know, messing with the numbers or whatever, lying. I was talking to somebody on Discord, and they were telling me these numbers about these trans kids, like 1 in 4 kids or 1 in 5 kids are trans. I'm like, man, we used to have this thing every year called the Drug Awareness Week. And they would hand out these ribbons, and it said, drug-free is the way to be. And we would fold them up so it would say drug E is the way to be, or kids were messing with it. It was silly because we didn't understand it. We were in junior or elementary school. We didn't know what the hell this was. It was funny. It was silly. Mm-hmm. And then I remember in school having like questionnaires and stuff, surveys. Have you ever had sex? Well, of course you're going to put yes, because but it's the peer pressure and it's the time, and you know, you want to be cool, so you're going to say things that you think are going to make you fit in. You're going to say things that'll keep you under the radar and not stand out to everybody else. So that means you saying you identify as trans or part of the alphabet soup group. They're probably going to do that. You can't take the numbers or whatever the information kids give you as gospel. These are kids. They're gonna lie. Anybody's gonna lie on a questionnaire, but especially some kids about a subject that is way beyond their pay grade. And it's, you know, they don't understand it. So, you know, they get giggly and silly. They're kids. It's too heavy for them to deal with. But this person was like, no, these are the numbers I said. So you're telling me 20% of kids today identify as trans? Yeah, that's what the numbers say.
20%.
It's dumb, man. I mean, they doing these kids dirty, man. We ain't heard nothing about that. And then they just making up stuff, bro. I mean, there's no such thing. Like, I see there's people in this world that are gay and lesbian. Okay, I get it. But when you talk about bisexual, there's no such thing as a person bisexual. You just nasty. You just a freak. You want your cake and eat it too. I don't want to hear nothing about no alphabet. You ain't bisexual. You just nasty. Yep. And then everything after that is all gender dysphoria. You know, when you talk about I'm in the wrong body, what does that even mean? You don't even know what a woman body's supposed to be because you ain't a woman. Yep. It's just like when black people say you can't tell you need to stay out of this conversation because you don't know what it's like to be black. Well, you don't know what it's like to be white. How you get to talk about white people all day? How you get to say identify as a woman? You don't know what a woman. You know, you're emulating what you think a woman is. That's why some of these gay dudes they more girly than girls are. Yeah, twisting it. I'm like,
so
my wife don't even switch like that.
It's like stereotypes they're trying to play into.
Exactly.
They're trying to just pretend. It's like playing dress up.
That's why they look so extreme. They're guessing. They don't know what it's like. But it's just like when people dress up as the opposite sex for Halloween. Like, oh man, we got 30 minutes to be there. Let me see. Let me get my sister's wig or my lipstick. Yeah. That's what they look like. Like they were in a rush to look like the opposite sex. They look like the exaggerated version of it because you don't know, because being a woman is more than just a feeling. I feel like I'm a woman. Hey, but women got the cramps to prove it. No, you don't.
Right. Oh yeah, somebody made a good point here. And then I'm gonna get to a couple super chat questions. Somebody made a pretty good point. They said if you are bisexual, then you are saying that there's only two sexes.
Bi means two.
You're right. I ain't gonna
That's
say bi mean
why-
three now, or whatever.
That's why they invented pansexual. I don't know if you guys ever
Yeah,
heard of
yeah.
it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So you
That
can
lady,
you can just
that lady
be
who
whatever,
works for
right?
Disney.
Yeah, you can.
She's a
whoever
what is
you
it?
want.
Asexual romantic.
People
And she's in
stupid.
charge of children's programming. What the hell does that mean?
Making up stuff. Just
Yep.
say, you know, you just, it's like, remember that whole the rap name generator? Remember that from back in the day?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's like now.
That's what we got going on now.
That's what they do, man. They try to outwoke each other. Like, are you a pansexual? Well, I'm pansexual positive or something. You're like,
It's
like,
so
shut-
stupid.
you got better stuff to do than be trying to figure out stupidity. Like, you
It's
know,
like-
go ahead.
If my best friend's son was over here, he's 8 years old. My son is 6. You listen to him in the front yard. Okay, I'm a monster, and then I hit you and you fall down. No. Okay, I'm a vampire. I hit you and you fall down. No. It's ridiculous. Oh, I'm a non-binary couch cushion. Shut your mouth. You're
Bro.
weird. You're weird as hell, and you need to stay away from children.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah, you're struggling with something going on in you,
Yeah.
and you need to stay away from children. What you need to do is focus on what's going on the inside of you. If you are sitting here saying that you don't identify as a male or a female, then you got to think to yourself, like, well, what is causing me to feel this way? Because clearly, biologically, there's a side that have been picked. Unless you're a hermaphrodite, but still, even then,
How rare are
they
they?
can
Yeah,
pretty
very
much
rare.
figure out what you lean towards. But it's just the world is getting crazier and crazier. They're going for the kids because they don't have they can't produce enough adults like this. So they need the next generation of people they can diddle.
Exactly.
And that's just my opinion. They want to confuse more kids so they can have a populace of these confused people, and they can trick them and they can manipulate them. Because if they would just let kids be kids, naturally kids wouldn't select anything like that.
Yeah, they want to indoctrinate these kids so they grow up accepting these lifestyles. So then it becomes normal.
And the
Yeah.
parents push it. Who's taking this and running with it? Your kid tells you, I'm this. Okay, let's totally reconfigure our lives. And what do you want to be called? I'm going to start calling you this. And here, let me get on social media, tell all my friends. Like, who's pushing this? It's like they dropped the drugs in the hood. Well, who picked them up and smoked them and sold them? Like, just because they present you with that doesn't mean you have to shove your kids down that hallway. Man, that stuff is disgusting, man. We are their last line of defense. If you can't trust your parents, if they're opening the door and waving the wolves in here, what the hell? What's the poor kid supposed to do? And that's why they go after them. They're soft targets. Like when they lay concrete, you got to hurry up and write your initials in there before it hardens, because once it's hardened, you can't do that. So they're getting this next generation of little weirdos who are super impressionable. So I think that's what it is. Ultimately, they want to make pedophilia normal. That's what it's always about.
That's
sex.
where it's going
Every
to.
cult is about sex. Some
That's
dude who didn't get none, and now he can get all the weird stuff he wants. I think that's what they want to do.
That's where it's headed. I think that all of this leads to pedophilia because it all becomes sexualized. It's not about emotions. It's not about love and nurturing and stuff like that most people want and need. It becomes of a sexual nature. That's the whole thing about gay. It's like, it's about who you're having sex with.
Exactly.
It's not how you feel, because
it's not about love.
You don't write gay. You don't type on your computer gay. You don't do a gay podcast. It's all about who you having sex with, because and this is my whole thing, and why I have such a hard time with the homosexual thing is because I'm confused at the way people operate. Because if you want love and you want security and you want all of the things that you need to be married and be consistent in a relationship with somebody, to me, it's like, why couldn't you go with if you're a man, why can't you just be with a woman that'll do all that? If it's just about that, it's to me, it's about sexual deviancy, because there's a scale, there's a scale of attraction. I guarantee you, I guess you would say a fat like a man that like another man. If he was in a room with a fat, sloppy, nasty 400-pound dude that smell like onion rings versus a beauty pageant model, bro, you can't tell me that man ain't looking at it like she looks better than he do. You know what I'm saying? She's more of an attractive person than he is. You know, I mean, I could be wrong. You know, I maybe I need to interview. We need to bring somebody on here that's gay.
You know what? The thing about the gay dudes is that they be looking like Lou Ferrigno, real pumped up, Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, they like that. You know what I mean? They don't want the fat sloppy dude. They want the real pumped up dude versus the beauty pageant.
Them girls that do CrossFit, them girls in the CrossFit gym are doing bodybuilding. They look like dudes.
Yeah, but see, then it's like it's weird with them. I see kind of like all kind of stuff. I think it's really just a mental thing. At the end of the day,
I think it's a mental thing.
And,
you know, because they may be attracted to genitalia, if you can say it that way.
Yeah, it's something usually from their childhood, probably some kind of childhood trauma, and now they can't get beyond the trauma. Now they're just really deep into it, so that they can't even go the other direction. I think that's probably what it is. Which again is a mental problem.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't know if we'll ever get to the bottom of it because nobody wants to have an honest conversation about why they were gay or where it started. You know, a lot of these studies that we see are just skewed to the left. So I don't know if we'll ever really get an understanding of how it started, because the thing is, they don't want us to know this information because they don't want us to try to prevent more kids from being gay. Because if we do get a hold of this accurate information and we know, okay, well, this man grew up gay. Like, when did he start believing he was gay? What happened in his childhood that kind of flipped him that way? Was he attracted to females at first and then he started being attracted to males after this turning point? But we don't know that.
It's always
y'all still see Oliver because
it's I can hear him.
Oh, they may want to ban him out here. I'll let it sit.
It's always try to. I'm sorry. They always try to sneak it in the camera cut off. The Trojan horse of love. It's just love, man. You have a problem with people being in love? It's just love. Love is unconditional. No, love is conditional. Love coming from a higher power might be unconditional, but down here there are conditions. No, you can't love kids. No, that's not what this is. And don't tell me all these things you're trying to do to these kids. It's all about love. No, it's not. It's indoctrination. You guys are perverts and you're targeting them. It's predatory. It's not love. But, you know, they sneak it in there. Hey, what? If you let them get married, what? Next people are going to start marrying animals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I saw that coming too. I saw it all coming. As soon as they had gay marriage, I knew we'd be right here. And people just like, oh, well, you know, just if they want to be gay and be married, let them do it. It's not even about that. It's not even about that. It's just like the whole thing with weed. When they say, okay, now we're going to have legal weed. Once that happens, I knew it was going to be weed smoke all over the place. You in the mall right next to the little kids' play area. You got wafts of weed smoke coming around. Totally inappropriate for little kids to be around. And then the next thing is going to be, okay, now we got this fatty, the fatty wop, fentanyl. You got that all over the place. I've seen it where they have fentanyl and vape pens. So kids are hitting vape pens with fentanyl in it. Going to the hospital, ODing and dying over that. But I saw it all coming because once you remove a certain thing from a society, it's like a taboo thing. You remove it, it'll be next thing, get put it right in its place, and then just keeps going down and down and downhill from there.
But at least one thing is for 100% for sure. We know that a president of the United States would not light the White House up in rainbow colors. At least we know that. Oh, whoops. Somebody did that already, huh?
It's very interesting, which takes me to my next subject of Ron DeSantis. I feel like that Ron DeSantis is really leading the charge. I mean, obviously the legislator in Florida is leading the charge, but Ron DeSantis is signing these things into law. And I think that he is killing the game. He is 100% leading the country in the right direction. And it feels good to see Republican governors following suit or even crafting their own, or at least signing their own legislation in their states to ban certain things. Like DeSantis banned abortions up to 15 weeks, I think, like that, or past 15 weeks. I think he should ban them from conception or whatever, but at least that's a start in the right direction. And I think that what's happening is the true colors of people are being revealed, because abortion is supposed to be about a safe and responsible choice. And so if you say 15 weeks we shouldn't go beyond that, and you got people contesting that, it's because they want to have abortions free nearly all the way to birth.
All the way to birth.
It's not about safe and responsible and about, hey, if you've been raped or whatever, you should know what's going on about 15 weeks. You should know if it's a baby from a rape. You should know if you're pregnant. You don't go 15 weeks and just you had sex with somebody, whether it's forced or not. You had sex with somebody, and unless it's incest and they hide it from the doctors or whatever, but it doesn't matter when abortion is applicable then, because they'll never present that you were pregnant in the first place. So, it just bothers me, man. And the same thing goes with the whole abortion thing. I forgot the other thing I was talking about, but anyway, it'll come back to me. But what do y'all think about DeSantis and stuff that he's been doing?
Bro, what happened to Florida? Florida used to be the home of bath salts and alligators. Now,
Florida man.
Now, Florida is getting it right. Florida is the blueprint for the rest of the country. I don't know how that happened. I'm glad it happened. And when you look into the numbers, because these fools would have you believe that women, like the only people who want abortions are women who were raped and women who got pregnant through incest. When in reality, those numbers are tiny. A few years ago, I think there were 9 reported cases of pregnancy by incest. It's a tiny, tiny number. Of course, any situation like that is horrible, and those men should be dragged on a bed of nails. But it's not as prevalent as they make. What did Hillary say? Abortion should be safe and rare. They're not. 90% of abortions are performed for inconvenience.
That's right.
Ew, no, I'm starting school. No, I'm not ready. It's not because they were raped. It's not because of incest. Thankfully, those things are rare in our society. But
check this out. When you this is what Steven Crowder said the other day, and I thought it was brilliant. I'm gonna use it from now on. He said, when you get in an argument with somebody in there and bring up the incest thing, all you got to do is just tell them, okay, I'll give you that. I will acquiesce to your claim there. So, but would you agree that all the other abortions are wrong? And they can't handle it. They gotta say, no. You wanted to make this special exception. I agree with you on that. Can you admit that outside of rape or incest and things like that, can you admit that everything else is a choice and people should not do it? He said that's a test that you should try on people. I guarantee you guys tried it on people when they have this conversation, and they're going to be stuck, just like what Steven Crowder said.
Well, abortion is a weapon now. They out of one side of their mouth, they cry about, we don't have enough representation. We should have the government reflect the population of the people, and we don't see enough black faces on TV because all the black faces are dead.
Yeah.
I heard this statistic from ABL a few years back. 20 million dead since Roe v. Wade. If those kids had kids and those kids had kids, now we break this 13% of the population bull crap ceiling that we can't. I think we just went down. I think we're down to 12% now from 13.
Yep.
No, you can't have this representation and keep snuffing out your population. It's been weaponized. There's no Planned Parenthood Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
If you want somebody to go somewhere, you make it convenient for them to get there. So you put it close to them. So these are the undesirables. And people refuse to use the internet for good, because the internet will teach you that Margaret Sanger used to give, the lady who started Planned Parenthood, used to do speeches for the Ku Klux Klan, the group that they wished was as powerful as it was back when she was speaking, because then it would justify these stupid remarks and comments that they make about this country being racist. But it's been weaponized. We snuff out 1 million babies a year. You mean there's 1 million women out there having babies or getting pregnant through incest? That's a lie, man. It's not rare.
It's not happening. I mean,
it's used as birth control. It's I'm not ready.
Even people who are just negligent. You know what I'm saying? I'll be honest. I wasn't saved my whole life. I was negligent, and I still didn't get nobody pregnant like that. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, people just randomly getting pregnant on the first try. Come on.
I had a homeboy who he was a virgin, and the first time he had sex, he got his girlfriend pregnant.
Yeah. So that's rare. I mean,
it's used as birth control. It's used to take care of an inconvenience, and it's really sad, man. We have to respect life more than we do as a society.
Yeah, I saw a statistic that said that like 30% of Black pregnancies end in abortion. And
Wow.
it's sad,
100%.
how many Black lives are lost through abortion. And if you want to talk about Black Lives Matter, but you're not talking about abortion and how the millions of children that are killed through abortion, then you really don't care about Black lives. I mean, this whole abortion argument really makes no sense. I mean, abortion to get to the point where you're choosing to have an abortion, you had to make a lot of bad decisions before then, right? Because if you claim that you were raped, go take a Plan B pill the day after, or right when it, right after it happens. Do what you got to do if that's the route you want to go. But to say that you're going to wait after 15 weeks to go get an abortion, that's just so irresponsible. It's ridiculous.
You got to bump. You got to bump at 15 weeks.
Yep.
And if they want to stop the abortion of Black kids, start teaching white cops how to perform them, and then they'll stop them.
Yeah.
Then BLM will care.
Then they'll be against it.
For real.
You know what I'm saying?
If a cop didn't do it, they don't want it.
Yeah, it's very weird to me that, I think that the Black community, not everybody, but I think that there's a lot of people in the Black community that have been misled. Like, I see people making arguments against their own will. I mean, against their, not will, but against their own best interests. You're saying, like, look, y'all talk about Mexicans coming over here and taking over everything in the hood. And I know Black people feel that way because when I was growing up, there used to be the sentiment. And they used to call them wetbacks. They're like, you wetbacks over here taking up everything. And what happened? We used to have a mall in Fort Worth. It used to be called Town Center. It was majority Black. And they had a shooting in the movie theater. Me and my dad and my brother was in there one time. So, people can't, I almost said the N-word. Them ends can't get their stuff together sometimes. But it was an all-Black mall. And then, a couple years after that, the Hispanics started moving in, and it became Fiesta. So, and now it's Mexicans and the trucks and stuff all out there. Mexicans buying up all the property. My grandmother, the street that my grandma lived on was all Black. One Mexican couple moved in, I say Mexican family, moved in across the street. They had 8 cars in the driveway, and all the Black people on the street was they were just complaining about the Mexicans. They got cars all in the driveway. They got them all out here in the street. They up all night playing that music. Now the whole street is Mexicans on the other side. It's like, Black people, you have to be strategic too. Why you complain about all this stupid stuff? Be strategic. We should be saying, let's have more children so we can populate the country more and we can take over. But we're not thinking like that. Mexicans are thinking like, not all of them, but the ones that come over here and they're like, oh, if I get my baby here, the baby's an American. So they do these anchor babies. They have as many as they can because the government is going to take care of you. You ain't got to work. If you ain't got no job, whatever, you work under the table. They have so many children and they are beginning to populate the United States of America at a rate higher than anybody else. And you know what? Their vote is going to count more than Black people's vote. And that's why they want them to come over here illegal because they're going to replace the Black vote.
Oh, yeah. It's already happened. That's already done pretty much. Like out here where I live in Chattanooga, there's a high school called Howard. At one point, it was 100% Black, all Black, 100%, not one white person in the school. Now it's like 75% Black and 25% Hispanic, mostly Guatemalan. It happened over about a 5 to 10 year period. So imagine what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. That's going to be Guatemalaville.
Right.
So where the Black folks going to be? They already came out and said that the Black population is declining in the city. And they don't know where they're going or what's happening. It's like, well, it's not that hard to tell. Abortion, low birth rate already, and then the immigrants coming over, moving them out.
They're done with it.
I was watching this video, and it was a Black lady, and she was in some part of California, and she went to a Taco Bell, and she was trying to order food, and she could not even order food because everybody that worked at that Taco Bell didn't speak English. Now, she said that this was a neighborhood that used to be Black, but now she can't even order fast food because nobody speaks English. The one thing that really, I would say, grinds my gears when I was listening to the like when we had the presidential debates and stuff like that, and people were campaigning, and I was looking at how many Black people were championing this idea of open borders and letting whoever wants to come here come here. And I'm like, do you understand that you're voting or that you're championing something that's going to be your own demise? Do you understand that, I live in Texas, so a lot of times when you go for a job, someone who's bilingual, who speaks Spanish, will get a job over you. And I don't think that should ever happen in any state in the United States of America where you're more valued because you don't speak English.
Yep,
Right.
That's ridiculous, man. But they're done with us. We're so 2021. They're finished with us. They've squeezed all the juice they can from these fruits. Then they're moving on to the next voting block, their next source of power. That's why you got Mayor Eric Adams hey, we're going to let illegals vote in local elections. It's just local. It's just school boards. What's the problem? That is what they're doing. You got people like Maxine Waters who allow her district to be gentrified. You allow the illegals to come up through Mexico and push all these black folks out. But you're supposed to be about black folks. You're out there pulling. That cop got black person pulled over. You're yelling out the window, "Oh, I'm just making sure you're doing your job." They don't care about. They don't care about. They're done. They're finished with us. They don't. And why shouldn't they be? Because no matter what they do, no matter how many lies, no matter how many broken promises, we're pulling that lever for them every single time. So why should they care? We're not going to do nothing. We care enough about ourselves to make more of us.
It's bad. It's bad. It's really bad because, like, for me, I'm out of that whole black community thing. I'm like, good people or bad people. That's how I look at it. Like, if there's white people that are doing something that I like, I'm a partner with them. You know what I'm saying? Black people doing something I like, I'm a partner with them. I ain't finna be no super extra black because that whole thing used to be a thing. I think black people used to have a very strong culture, a very strong presence, a very strong community. All of those things. I feel like black people really had that before Martin Luther King.
Yep.
I mean, I think we were building so much ground in this country. I mean, we were having children. We were married. We were building so much industry. We had so much cultural identity. And now I feel like we are withering away because we are now being the very thing that's going to destroy us, supporting the very thing that's going to destroy us. Because when you look at it, you say all these black people getting killed by police. Like, we are going to lose more young black people to police officers. It's going to get worse and worse because these young people are growing up. They have a fear, they have an animus, and they are going to confront police more, thinking that they're championing their people, and they're going to get killed more. And Hispanics ain't doing what black people are doing. Mind you, they minorities too.
Nobody is.
They're not doing that. Show me a video Hispanics are doing this at the rate that black people are doing it. Doing drive-bys at the rate black people are doing it. Having abortions at the rate black people are doing it. The school systems are failing the way some of the inner city black schools are failing. There are people that make millions. I mean, show me these Hispanic people that are at the top of the food chain that are spitting poison down on their own people. Like, we got our people that are rich, they stupid. They out here destroying our own communities. They got so much money, these NBA players, these NFL players. And some of them, you got dudes on the same team that got $1 million contracts that grew up in the same area. And they won't go spend a dime in that little area that they live in. But they mad at the white man. They mad at the government. It's like, if all y'all NBA players in Milwaukee or in Houston or in Phoenix, just y'all go to the inner city. You ain't got to do nothing with Phoenix, the greater Phoenix. Go down to South Phoenix and only work in the black neighborhoods. No, they live up here in Paradise Valley, Scottsdale with all the white people, with me and all the white people. That's where they living at. You know, and enjoying it. I saw one of the football players the other day driving a Ferrari with the top down, a big old dookie braids coming out his head. That brother is not worried about no black people. He got a Ferrari. He living in a multi-million-dollar mansion. He ain't thought twice about black people until it's time to kneel for the national anthem. Anyway.
But it's dangerous for them to go back. They lose their lives because that's the culture. There's no respect for life. So if he goes back trying to show these kids, hey, you can do something and come back, he's going to get shot. And it's because we have no respect for life. You cannot sustain your business on a global level or even on a national level if just black folks support you. There aren't enough of us to keep you, unless you're selling fake hair, Jordans, or Yak. We don't want nothing to do with you.
Bro, so even fake hair. The black people, like this girl that I knew, she had started her own business. She got into a car accident She got settlement of millions of dollars. She went to India to get real. She flew to India to get hair, to bring it back and start her Black-owned hair business. You know what them sisters did? They went to the Asian people. They didn't even work with them.
I ain't buying that high stuff. I'm going straight to the Koreans.
She cried to me about this. And she the first one being all pro-Black. And I say, what happened to your bid? Oh, man, them ends they don't even want to support their own. They go right across the street to the Asian, and I got real Indian hair.
And you got people like Cheryl Underwood on that failed show that got canceled finally, the knockoff of The View. There's an episode they're talking about how they keep their babies, clippings from their baby's first haircut. They keep them in a little bag. You know, they look at them sometimes. Oh, they were a little baby. And she said, ew, who wants to keep a Black kid's hair? I don't want that nappy stuff. That's the mindset.
She said that?
Yes, you can look it up on YouTube. She said that. So she takes that and vomits it.
For that?
She vomits it on her little girl who thinks my natural hair is not good enough. Yep. So I gotta go over here and see the Asians to get this fake hair. It's so messed up, and we're doing it to ourselves, and to keep blaming it and to keep giving all this power to white. Why are you okay with the idea that somebody else has control over your life? Why are you okay with that? Why are you okay with worrying about what some group of people, which 99.9% you ain't ever gonna meet, but you need their approval? I don't understand that, man. That drives me crazy. I'm not gonna let nobody have control over my life. It's mine. Because my name is all these W-2s and these taxes I gotta pay to the damn IRS. So I don't care about nobody else. My brother, when he was a substitute teacher, he had this little African kid, this little Nigerian kid in 3rd grade, 8 years old. The kids are playing basketball. He's sitting there with a pen and a pad for a couple minutes, and he's looking down the writing. He's looking up, and he looked back down. And my brother asked him, what are you doing? How come you're not out there playing? He says, I'm learning my opponent's strategy first. What? That kid ain't worried about nothing but doing the best he can, focusing on his education. If there were more of us, there would be more of us everywhere, not just entertainment, sports. We would be everywhere, government, business, finance, but there aren't enough of us to go around. There aren't enough of us to live this hood life and have some living the good life.
Do you think it's over for the progress of Black people in America? Like, do you think it's because there's 40 million Black people that live in this country? Majority of them are not in poverty, right? I think majority of Black people are in the middle class. Do you think the progress of Black people, which means that we'll see effective Black people in the Oval Office, we'll see effective Black people emerge like Elon Musk and all these other white billionaires? Do you think that we're not going to go up anymore from here?
I think it's this. It won't be a collective thing. It's going to be individual Black folks that can make it. But as far as like the community coming together and rising up like as one, that's not going to happen. That ship been sailed. It's not going to happen. It's going to be individual people. So if you just happen to come across something, some kind of invention, you do something better than somebody else, or you're really good at what you do, you're a super big brain genius, 5,000 IQ, whatever it is, you will have success as an individual. Maybe your family will as well, but trying to like take your whole hood with you, that's not going to happen. The whole MC Hammer approach, bringing the whole Oakland, California on tour with them, those days have been dead for a long time.
What do you think about the Hispanic population potentially being the majority of America?
They will be.
Oh, it will be.
It's already happening.
What do you think that's going to do to America? Do you think that majority of Hispanics who come over here are people who are, born over here? Do you think they are it's not acclimated? What is the term?
Assimilated.
Assimilated. Yeah. Or do you think the country is going to completely change forever in the worst way? Meaning that we're going to get away from our American values.
No,
yeah, for sure. You can't have only Americans have American values. And if we have no more Americans, there go our values. These people want to be in America. They don't want to be American. They're not cutting apple pie and going to a baseball game because they don't have to. They don't have to wait. They don't have to pay. They don't have to study. You got the White House press secretary talking about people being here waiting for their chance to plead their asylum case. They're okay with people who aren't citizens being here. What other country does that? And they're trying to repeal the Title 42. They can't wait to do that. They cannot wait to kick the border open and just have millions and millions of people come up here because that is their voting base. They're not working for it. So here, you come up here, we're going to take care of you. We're going to plug you into the system, cell phone, they don't care. When I used to live in Salinas, big farming community. If it's in your crisper, in your fridge, it came from Salinas. They got lines of people outside. Free dental, cell phone, will help you with housing, will help you get your kids in school, will help you get their shot records up to date. They're rolling out the red carpet for people because they are done with us. And these since they don't have to work hard, since they don't have to pay and wait and study, they're not turning into Americans. They're just going to bring their culture with them. You see that all the time. I go to a part of town I used to live in. I feel like I'm not in America anymore. I feel like I'm out of place. I've been here. I serve this country, but I feel like I'm not even there anymore because this is how they want it. They don't care about our lives. Our lives will always be separate from theirs. They'll always be in their ivory towers, cracking lobster tails, laughing maniacally at our suffering. They'll always be like that. They don't really care what goes on down here as long as they stay in power. And if you're giving people free stuff, you don't want that faucet turned off. Fill this box right here. That faucet will never be turned off. Come on up.
Yep.
What'd you say, Oliver?
And I have a lot of experience with that because, like I said earlier, I'm in Texas. So I've worked in retail. I worked in healthcare now. So I see a lot of families, a lot of Hispanic families, and you'll see a kid that comes over with their parent from Mexico, and they came over when the kid was like 5, and now the kid's in his 20s and 30s, and the parents had never learned how to speak English. So that kid has to be their translator their whole life. So a lot of these people, they're not trying to assimilate. They're not trying to learn English. We make it easy for them here. You go to different businesses and you have something that's in English and then also translated in Spanish. You call every health line. It's like press 2 for Espanol. So these people never really have to assimilate to us. They never have to learn English. They never have to adjust to the way that we live here in America, because we're this so-called melting pot, right? Where everyone is welcome. And instead of us sticking to our American values and pushing our American values on people who come here and want to live here, we just decided to just let anybody in, and they can bring in their country's tradition with their country's flag. So you see a lot of these people, they got their country's flags on their car, on their house. I'm like, you live here. You escaped your country for a reason, right? Your country was probably pretty crappy, and that's why you left, but you still want to represent the country you came from. You still want to speak that language. Why don't you, when you come here, understand that the reason you're here is because America is the greatest country on earth. So leave all that behind. But if we have more Hispanics coming in, Hispanics take over the country, it's not going to be America anymore. It's going to be like New Mexico.
Yep. I want people to understand it's not just, I'll be just picking on Hispanics. It's just that we're methodically going through this process. We already talked about the indoctrination of children, period. We got enough liberals that are white in this country that's destroying us. So we're methodically going through different groups and saying, okay, if black people are not going to rise like Booker T. Washington and all those guys did, and Hispanics are obviously on the rise in population numbers. They predict that we'll be majority Hispanic if something don't change, which I wouldn't care if people would assimilate. But it's very interesting. ABL, you got a take on that?
As far as what the Hispanics coming in, taking over?
Yeah. Do you think that will it be a situation in our country where there's such an influx in people who are not assimilating to our country, whether it's Hispanic and maybe African or whatever? Yeah, I mean, obviously you can come up through the southern border faster than you can get on a plane. Yeah. So it's more than likely going to be from South America or whatever. Do you think that we're going to find ourselves in a predicament because so many people are coming here not assimilating, on top of the indoctrination of Americans who are here who are not assimilating? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, do you think we're going to face that problem, or are we going to recover?
It's going to be an issue regardless, because you see it happening right now in certain pockets of the country. I think that it won't impact the entire nation, because some places, like, for example, Atlanta, Georgia, I don't see Atlanta being taken over by Hispanics anytime soon because of how many of black people are coming down there all the time, every single day. I'm in ATL all the time. I live right not too far away. It's Wakanda. Okay, they're not gonna take Atlanta. It's like that. So, but California, on the other hand, is a different story. And you're seeing that's basically like norteños, sureños, it's Mexico, basically. But you still have enough people that are American and grew up in America to not have it be totally like Mexico. You see what I'm saying? So it's not going to be that bad. But in certain pockets of California, or it will be like that. Certain neighborhoods is going to be like that. Certain, like I said here, in that one particular neighborhood where it's like 100% black in the school, well, it's a lot of Guatemalans too. They got their own little corner of the city where you know what it is. Everybody's gonna be about 5 foot tall, men and women. They're gonna speak their language. That's what it is. But it won't impact the entire city. So I think that pockets of the nation are definitely going to change. And if you have just unfettered immigration for years and years and years, those pockets are going to get a little bit bigger. But I don't think they're going to take over their entire nation. But again, if you have people coming in from all over the world to America, it's going to create a lot of confusion. Like that's like Tower of Babel, right? Had all those different nations in one particular place and had to break them up. It's going to be like that over a period of time, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah. So what about secession? I think that's what it's called. Do you think that any of these states are going to secede from the union, or would there be a split?
I doubt it.
California,
I doubt it.
California might try to go first.
I wouldn't mind them breaking up California into 3 sections because California is big enough. I wouldn't mind that. But nobody's going to secede from the nation. Now, there's too many wolves outside. You separate from the country, that means you're separating from this country's support. So, I don't think anybody's brave enough to do that. No way.
I see a big split in progressive and conservative states now. I mean, it's getting. I'm actually getting excited to think about it. Like stuff that DeSantis is doing, stuff that Abbott is doing, stuff that I see even Doug Ducey here in Arizona is doing. I feel like these Republican governors are like dropping their nuts, man. I'm just being honest. And they're passing legislation that will radically change this country. And these leftists are going to only get lefter. So it's going to be this great divide. I mean, you look at New York State, and you say they're so far left, and then you just go down to Florida, and they're conservative as you know what. And all of these southern states are still very conservative. I think even Georgia is still very conservative. You got the Atlanta, but everywhere else is red, man. And you got Oklahoma, you got Kansas. Kentucky. You got all of these places that we forget about because they're not like big population centers, but all of them are red, man. And I think that Trump, and I'm not trying to, talk about the election again, but I think Trump won the majority of these states in our country. And I feel like it didn't reflect in the election, but maybe it will in the midterms. I feel like Republicans and people have just turned from the Democrats. Do you guys think that the Democrat Party is slowly but surely dying and we just haven't seen it yet? You know what I'm saying? It's like they got cancer that they haven't checked, and eventually it's going to get them, and they don't know it's coming. Do you guys think it's to that point, or do you think they're stronger than ever?
No, I definitely think that the Democrat Party is dying. I just don't know if we have put the candidates out there that are able to scoop the people that have left the Democrat Party up yet. If we had somebody like DeSantis, and I'm going to 2024, but if we had somebody like DeSantis running for president, I think it would be a landslide victory, no problem. But when we have these our 2022 election, I really don't know if there's a lot of politicians that are scooping these once Democrats up or have the charisma to scoop these people that were once Democrat up. I hope that they can. I hope that this does happen, but I'm just not sure. I know a lot of people saying there's going to be a red wave in 2022. I hope so, but I just feel like Democrats may have something up their sleeve that's going to flip the script.
Yeah, they definitely, Republicans need a contingency plan. They need a plan to, like you were saying, catch all these people who are going to be scurrying from the Democrat Party, especially come November. And I think it's going to take somebody who's not young, but young enough to have seen both sides of America. They've seen what it was before all this wokeness, and they've seen what it is after, versus somebody who, you know, maybe were older, so they spent more time in how it was. But these kids were really there at that time. They were really, you know, like in their 20s or something during the time this all shifted. So I think somebody who's seen it get so bad, and because when you're younger, you're living a different kind of life. You're more closer to the pulse of what's happening now. And it's going to take somebody to rise from the ashes of social media and the wokeness of the school system and all that kind of stuff. Some kid, maybe somebody who was singled out by their teacher because of a hat they were wearing, or because they had a MAGA sticker or something like that. Some kid who was burned by an authority figure and really saw the change of what's going on. I think they're going to have the charisma that Oliver was talking about to get these people. And I hope they're ready soon, because come November, there must be a change. There has to be a change in our government. A lot of these, it has to happen, because if it doesn't happen this November, it's never going to happen. Because what else do we need to see? They're trying to weaken our military. They're trying to take all our damn money through inflation. They're trying to get us mixed up in these wars. What else is it going to take? They're going after our kids, the debacle of how they handle the sweet and sour sniffles, the mandates. If it don't happen in November, it ain't ever going to happen. What else do we need to see? Because if you don't see this, it's because you don't want to see this. It's everywhere. All these lies and stuff they're talking about, 3 seconds in Google, you already, oh, it's a lie. So it has to happen. There must be bloodshed, talking about votes, come the midterms. They must be held to task this year. Because if not, look how it's going to embolden them. Damn, we can get away with that. We can do all that, and they didn't do nothing. Man, no. This is the midterms, or first day in prison. Find the biggest dude, knock him out. Because if you don't, everybody's going to be coming after you. We need to show how tough we are come November.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, I agree. I think we can end it there. I want everybody to share where people can find you at. So we'll start with you, ABL. ABL, how can people find you?
The best thing to do is you can just see this right here, ABL. Just search that right here on the YouTubes. I should pop right on up. Also, go to my website, anthonyblogan.com. That is ANTHONY, the letter BLOGAN.com. You can find my email, my snail mail, all that good stuff, my social media accounts, my Twitter, my Facebook. Everything's right there on the website. Also, go to the merch website, ablmerch.com. That is ablmerch.com. Check it out. We got hats, t-shirts, stickers, hoodies, mugs, and more on the website right now. Check me out.
Awesome. Jericho, what you got?
Hey, why I always got to go after ABL? YouTube, Jericho Green. I'm also on Recoil TV. If you've ever seen Recoil Magazine, it's firearms, home defense. They have a website, so you can find my content there. Spotify, Rumble. It's all in the link tree on YouTube. Check me out at JG Talk on Instagram. Find me there if you like what you heard here. Hear more. And I do, I realize where I'm at. I'm in B. Tatum's house, so I will speak accordingly. But on my platforms, it gets a little salty, people. Bring some water.
Awesome. Oliver, how can they find you?
All right, just follow me on Instagram at The Right Winged Angel. I also have a website, rightwingedangel.com. I also have a merch website, rightwingedangel.store.com, so you can visit that. All over the place. I'm on Twitter. I'm on all those social media platforms, Facebook. So if you search Right Winged Angel, I'll come up.
Cool, man. Yeah, your mic and your picture sound a lot better.
I had to change my cameras.
Oh my God. MSM and Fed. Right, I'm gonna put this little super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to this channel, you can find me here. I make videos every day. I have the Officer Tatum store. All those links are in my link tree as well. You can go to my website. You can book me to speak. I got a podcast. All of that stuff you can find it at theofficertatum.com. And for my audience, 20% off everything on the store. If you put in discount code United We Stand. United We Stand. So I love you, brothers. Y'all hang out in the back. To everybody else, we'll see you next week. We out.
Peace.